Are doctors being warned off social media? Let's hear from some leading experts in the field of endometriosis and see what they have to say.
I can tell you that I transformed as a surgeon. I can tell you the moment where I transformed as a surgeon from being kind of like a semi-competent surgeon to sort of just leveling up into what I would consider getting to be an expert level of surgery. I was at AEGL like 12, 13 years ago. And this guy named Shailesh Puntambakar, who's this Indian surgeon who's been very prolific now, he produced a video that was an anatomic dissection of a cadaver that was more detailed than anything I'd ever seen before. And he explained anatomy in a way that I had never really fully considered. I watched that. I got a copy. I went up to him and I said, that video is amazing. I want to watch it again. Can I have a copy? And he gave me a copy. I watched it like 100 times. And I also showed it to every trainee and resident I'd ever worked with again. I said, hey, you got to watch this video. And that was such a jumping off point for my surgical career that it was transformational. Like my understanding of pelvic anatomy completely changed from watching that video. And you have to think, like, I never could have gotten that opportunity just being in an operating room with somebody. That happened because you could record what is being done. And so surgical education has just been transformed by video. So now, if we're going to say that publishing surgical video is helpful to teach other surgeons how to operate, what is the most effective way to distribute that video? And the answer is social media, of course. Like, if you put video, have to go through a peer-reviewed process and send it into a journal and people have to agree that they like it, and then they put it on a very narrowly viewed site that nobody even goes to. Like, nobody goes to, I mean, very, very few people say go to the website of the American Journal of Gynecologic Laparoscopists journal. It's called JMIG. Very few people go to the JMIG site and like watch the videos that are there that people have published that are peer-reviewed videos. Like, compared to what people watch on YouTube or watch on social media, I mean, it's like a vanishingly tiny fraction of what people watch on YouTube and social media. So if I wanted to create something that was educational for other surgeons, and my only goal, forget about marketing the practice, just about transmitting my skills to other less experienced surgeons that I might actually help them to be better. By far, in a way, the best way to do that would be to publish that on social media. Not even close. And so this sort of ivory tower view that somehow being in, putting out videos on social media is bad, I think is just fucking ridiculous. Like, it's insane. And so that's my opinion. I think that whoever wrote that article is just nuts. They totally don't get it. And then we get into the idea of like, what is the best way to, help our patients be educated about these disease states? And I think that people are very, very interested in seeing what is going on in their own body. I mean, every single patient that I have, I record that video and I share it with that person after the surgery. And in the future, if they ever come back and we're having any issues or whatever, by far the best way for me to know exactly what we did is I just pull up the video I have it all on a hard drive, and I go, oh, let's look at your video from 3 years ago, let's see what we did. I may not remember that person as well because I operate on hundreds of people a year, but I can pull up that video and probably I'm going to remember the surgery. I'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that surgery. So having video of every single surgery you do, it's incredibly, incredibly helpful. And so once you have that, why not publish some things, help teach people? Yes, help market the practice, of course, that is part of it. And also to help to teach other physicians. I have physicians come up to me all the time that say that they learn stuff from watching videos that I put out. And so I think it's incredibly important. So part of why I record this video is to other surgeons. If you read this editorial and you're going like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do stuff online, forget it. Don't listen to it. It's a bunch of nonsense. Like, we are in the world that we're in. If you have good things to share them. I think it's very, very helpful. I think it's helpful to other physicians. I think it's helpful to patients to find you for your practice, of course. And I think it's really helpful to grow the general education of everything.
The establishment is losing control, and that's a good thing. Let's talk about something very interesting. There's a predictable pattern when institutions lose control of the narrative, and we're seeing this play out again. this time with doctors and academics who criticize social media. Their usual line? It spreads misinformation. But let's be honest, that argument is less about public safety and more about preserving authority. It's the old guard trying to protect its shrinking influence. They don't even realize how far behind they are. With AI tools like ChatGPT, patients now have access to more information and more accurate information in seconds than most doctors can recall from memory. The monopoly on medical knowledge is over, and they're uncomfortable with that. But this isn't new. Let me give you an example. The same resistance happened when laparoscopy was introduced in gynecology. Academics clung to open surgery, labeling laparoscopy as dangerous until it became the gold standard. Progress always threatens those invested in outdated models.
Women who underwent laparoscopic surgery experienced a shorter hospital stay, 2.4 days compared to 4.4 days, recovered more quickly, 3 weeks versus 5 weeks, and had fewer complications. These outcomes clearly demonstrate that laparoscopic surgery is significantly safer than laparotomy. However, there was substantial resistance to adopting this technique, largely because it required surgeons to learn an entirely new method of operating, and medical schools would need to overhaul their training programs to teach this more technically demanding procedure. Still, progress in medicine demands openness to change. Together, we must continue to push forward and adapt to new knowledge for the benefit of patients and the future of healthcare.